नमस्ते आदाब गुड मॉर्निंग सत श्री अकाल। आप देखना शुरू कर चुके हैं नेशनल इंडिया न्यूज़ का खास प्रोग्राम। और आज के लाइव में हम चर्चा करेंगे यूक्रेन क्राइसिस और उठे हुए विवाद रिजर्वेशन पे। सो वी गोना टॉक अबाउट रिजर्वेशन and the Ukraine crisis in detail, and we will discuss how the issue of reservation has made back headlines into the Savarna news channel or the print media, or they have once again through this crisis tried to make the reservation only villain of this entire corrupt education system. The way they are writing the headlines and the way they are running the campaign, that more than the war itself, it seems like the reservation is only a problem, or even if it's a problem. So we're gonna discuss this, and for that we have a very distinct panel. We have Dr. Manisha Bangar, who is social and political analyst. We have Dr. Shanti, and we have Cynthia. So Cynthia is a scholar and activist, and Dr. Shanti is secretary at a
Doctors Association,
yeah, I have
Associate
just
Department.
it just came out of my head at your
Yeah, yeah,
proper
no problem, no problem.
designation. Um, but Dr. Shanti works for like an equitable society. So thank you so much for joining in today's panel, and I'm gonna shoot off like the first question to Dr. Shanti, and I would also like to request her, so if she can also brief about her to our audience as well about herself. Dr. Shanti, I'll try to understand from you that how do you see this entire this Ukraine crisis?
So, this Ukraine crisis, war is a problem. War is a definitely disadvantage position to both parties. So that everybody knows, even Russia knows about it. But unfortunately, because of this U.S. imperialism and NATO groups, they are just closely coming towards Russia. So naturally, for the safe security of Russia, they are forced to go for invasion to Ukraine. But whatever it may be, nobody likes war, and it may be Russia also. And the what is my issue, what is my feeling, that is the whole world is not talking about strengthening the United Nations. See, there is something called United Nations, that it should be strengthened, and there is right now there is no need for NATO for the purpose for which it was started is not there at present. So the people of the world should say that we have to strengthen United Nations, and there is no need for NATO. So NATO should be dismantled or should be sidelined, because as long as NATO is there, as long as NATO is allowed to expand, it is not even a problem to Russia. Similar problem can occur to India also. That is that it can happen same. It can happen to us also. So it's a problem. So people are talking about war, and then disadvantages of war. So I am a member of Indian Doctors of Peace and Development, which is an association which has got a close association with an association called International Association for Prevention of Nuclear War, which has got a Nobel Prize for Peace. So we are doctors, and we know the value of life and every single life. So we don't want war, but at the same time we need to see the cause for which, the etiology for which the war was created. So we have to talk about that also. Simply saying that stop war is not going to end the matter. So we have to see the root cause, and then we have to comment on that. Strengthening the UN is a very, very important thing right now. And then NATO should be dismantled, or at least should not develop more than that. That should be the attitude. And simultaneously, we have to request both Ukraine and Russian government to go for a dialogue at the earliest, so that the war can be stopped as early as possible, so that people are dying, and that is a very thing. But simultaneously, the Indian government, especially including the Prime Minister of India, is making use of this opportunity to talk about some other thing also. Suddenly, he's telling why the Indian students are going to small countries to read medicine. See, firstly, China is a bigger country, Russia is also a big country. Even Ukraine is not a very small country, but still he is telling. On again, what he is telling, see, the state government should give land to private people to start medical colleges. See, he is not telling the state government should start more medical colleges, government medical colleges, and he is not telling that the central will start more central medical colleges like AIMS or something of that kind. He is not telling like that. Instead, he is telling private people to start. And that is not the right plan. Second thing, few thousand crores are going out of India. So that's not a problem. Why students are going out of India? Because there is a privatization here. The fees is so high. For 5 years, they have to spend uh, more than a crore. But for in Ukraine and other countries, if they go, they can spend 25 lakhs for 5 years. So naturally, that is only the problem. Instead, they are totally diverting and deviating the whole issue to a reservation also. So the reservation is there. Reservation, the certain percentage of reservation is there in Tamil Nadu, and certain percentage of reservation is there in every other state. Likewise, the central government also have got a reservation, which has till now it has not crossed 50%. Now, because of this EWS, it has crossed that 50%. But the
Right.
reservation is there since independence. The implementation of reservation is only it's not done in a proper manner. So the people who have to enjoy the reservation are only most affected. It is not the other way around. Even we have discussed earlier the 27% reservation, even though the constitution have given, there is a problem in implementation. So you cannot say that it is implemented for a long time and there is a overutilization, there is an exploitation of people having reservation. It is never ever like that. So even the 27% reservation was announced very late, and that too in a staggered manner, like 9%, another 9%, another 9%. It is like that only, and that too increasing the seats to compensate that. So everything is in favor of general power category students only, general people only. It is not a real justice of either giving 27% or for that matter even 69% in our state. Even here, every year a case will be filed so that for 69% reservation, that is crossing 50%, some seats will be added in the general category. So technically speaking, it is not 69% reservation. Technically speaking, it is not 27% reservation. Still, people are talking only because of the reservation. The quality
Reservation.
of education is affected. Because of that only, the whole system is affected. The general category people are affected. Like that, they are people are talking, making use of this Ukraine war. This deviation and diversion tactics is coming, and by telling that, they are one way they are insulting the students also. But because you are not talented, because you are using the reservation, you are using reservation here like that, and also we are made to go there outside the country. The problem, the crust of the problem is the privatization, the higher fee structure in India. So because of that only they are leaving. So even this Mr. Naveen's father also have told that the problem is the cost is also caste and also cost of the education. So you have to say that the price is the problem, fees is the problem. Instead, the central government is not bothered to fix the fees for deemed universities till now. So the independence, even 75 years over after getting independence, till now the central government is not at all interested in doing fixing the fees for deemed university. The University Grant Commission has told this. My friend has filed a case in Puducherry 3 years before for a particular deemed university, and the judgment came in Chennai High Court to fix the fees for I think 10 lakhs for that particular academic year for that particular deemed university. Then the court said, make use of the same, implement this to other deemed university for from next academic year onwards. But nothing was done. Nothing. And now the NMC Act has come. NMC Act has come 2019. Even now, till date, no regulations have come for it. Now, February 3rd, one regulation have come saying that the 50% of seats will be given from private to government. In that, they will be getting fixing the fees on equivalent to government fees. But what happened? Only some one small circular, but there is no rules and regulations, and there is no proper recommendations how to implement that. And that was given very very late. The NMC Act came 2019. The EWS was started and ended and implemented in 2 days. But what about this fees thing? The fees has just the order came now, that too with the improper regulation. So we are unable to form it. You know very well, all of us know very well, because of the COVID, the exam got delayed, and then for NEET, UG, PG, and it happened only in the September, and it is further because of the reservations of OBC, and now only
Right.
it's too. 21 has come to 2022, and there are so many issues. So the government had enough time to fix the fees, but it did not do it. And even now, it has done in a half backed manner. And now it is telling it will be implemented from next academic year onwards. So it obviously shows the central government's attitude of supporting the private medical colleges and private institutions, deemed universities, so that they can mint money like anything as per their will and wish, but totally deviating the whole thing to the reservation or something of that kind. It is condemnable. It cannot accept this.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Shanti. Just to mention to our audience, I would like to tell that Dr. Shanti is Secretary of Doctors Association for Social Equality. So, thank you so much, Dr. Shanti, for making this point. I would like to go to Cynthia Stephen and understand from her that, if the crux, if you can explain to our audience about the crux, that why students has to go to like abroad for studying, not just medical, for other subjects as well. And in Ukraine we see that like 25% of the foreign students who came to study are from India. So there is a huge population, Indian population is studying there, and in several other countries as well. But I would like to understand from you that what is the root cause which prompts students to go and study abroad. Cynthia.
See, this has to do with an important lacuna that has taken place in our country. Higher education is always seen as a kind of a privilege, and it is, and rightly so. And it is also understood that it is not easy to access. It's also considered to be expensive. In the early part of post independence period, there was a real focus on building of institutions and focusing on science and technology related institutions and education, and that is why the government invested in quality research institutions. I don't think in the recent past any new research institutions have been set up or professional institutions have been set up by the central government. And also several state governments have set up their own medical education, engineering colleges, etc. So the major source of technological and medical education were government institutions. In later years, say in the 70s and 60 late no 70s really, a lot of private institutions also started coming up, medical colleges and engineering colleges in particular. Here in Bangalore, in Karnataka, it has been a pioneer in the private, uh, higher education institutions. And there is a political and social climate in which these things take place. So here, the majority of as you know, pioneering medical education for particularly for women was initiated in Vellore by a missionary institution, and they are the first ones to train doctors and nurses. Otherwise, governments did co-education, colleges. And later on, CMC Vellore became a co-ed. I think in the 70s they started taking men as well. So, but in Karnataka, there has been a huge focus on higher education institutions by private institutions, and those tend to be from religious or community based organizations. So, there's a large number of Lingayat matas, which are very powerful and wealthy, who have set up a large number of colleges, teaching hospitals, engineering colleges, and so on, all over the state, particularly in the southern and northern belt, not so much in the coastal area. In the coastal area, another community has set up a large number of private institutions, which are very, very reputed. This is part of the reason why uh, Karnataka is seen as a front runner in the IT sector, because large number of training institutions are there. Similarly, in medical education also, because of the large number of human resources available in Karnataka, we find that it is a source, it is a place where people come for medical tourism. That is, there's a lot of talent available. So what is the lack? Why are our students then going abroad? The reason is the cost factor, one, and secondly, the stagnation in the number of government seats. This has to be clearly understood. The government stopped investing in medical education by building institutions, by increasing the number of seats, by increasing the number of teaching hospitals. This has not happened. Government seats are very much less expensive than the private seats. And the private seats, the private medical colleges and institutions are usually run by politicians with political and community links. So the caste class politics nexus is what has retained the majority of seats in the private sector and kept them out of the reach of the common person. So the limited number of government seats which are affordable for everybody is the issue. So as you have pointed out, cost is an issue, and the cost is high because nobody is regulating the cost. I have known of people paying a crore for a medical seat in a private institution. What nonsense is this? What kind of doctors? If people who are talking about, unqualified people getting into medical education, uh, who is looking at the competence of a student who is buying a seat for 1 crore? The money is only visible. The capacity of the student is not seen. As a result of which, I would definitely say that the quality of the output, the professional quality of the doctors has also been affected, because not everyone who has the money has the competence or even the interest. I know of medical students who have uh, completed medical education and then go for an MBA and move into another industry after an expensive publicly funded medical, or they are going abroad. What is the benefit to the country when a student from a government college studies here and then exits the country? And so the government has to regulate not only the the number of seats, first the fees, then they have to increase the number of seats and regulate the students, the exit of the professional students, by insisting that if they go to a public funded institution, they should stay here and give service, because our public health system is in a shambles. The whole world saw, we knew, people acting in this country knew the woeful status of public health infrastructure in our country. But the whole world saw how people were dying like flies because our hospitals, the doctors, we were short of doctors. It's not that they were incompetent. We were short of doctors and nurses to handle a mass pandemic the way, and all of our people are out abroad. So it's a long term issue of allowing money to creep in, caste and class to creep in into medical education, into the access to the health sector. And as you everybody knows, India has the lowest amount of money devoted to the public health program in the budget. This has to change, and without these changes, these problems are bound to continue. The reservation argument has already been explained in detail by Dr. Shanti. I will not go into that.
Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia. Dr. Manisha Banger, I'd like to understand from you that, Cynthia has mentioned some points, Dr. Shanti outlined some points, uh, and I also would like to understand from you is that how expensive is to study medical, in India, or can you just give our audience an idea about the steps and how difficult or the whatever the cost incurs. Like we have we were briefly told that it's somewhere between um, 75 lakhs to 1.5 crores, but would like to understand from you that what is the entire process and what is how this system works, and how exactly the expensive is studying medical in India.
Yeah, apart from the cost, which has already been discussed, I'll come to it later. What is more important is how many people in the country, what is the proportion of students, and which caste and class do the students belong, to be able to come and compete for medical examinations? How much of them are able to be eligible to be able to take up a medical course? How much I have are able to be right from first standard or nursery and first and until 10th standard are able to take up and have the facility of the education to be able to take biology and the required subjects and have science as a subject in 11th and 12th grade and compete, get good scores and compete. How many students in this country have the facility with the basic amenities of light, of water, of a conducive environment, of an unhindered, absolutely no family issues or no poverty, nothing which can distract them, which will allow them to focus only on education and only on their goal of becoming a doctor? How many are able to have that? Very few. And especially among the Bahujans, the SC, ST, OBCs, and the minorities, it's even less. And all these, if you take the case of Anita, which has happened in Tamil Nadu, if you take the case of Payal Kavi, if you take many more cases, all these students that are coming to the government colleges, here they have been able to come because their family has made innumerable sacrifices, in the sense almost to the tune, and these have been absolutely low income group families or poor families, and these are rare stories. These rare stories are highlighted, and a single person, individual conquest or individual success is made out to be a success of the community. That's not true. An individual success is, it's something which has come after a whole lot of uh, uh, various kind of permutations and combinations which have occurred at their community level, at the family level, and this is available only to the very minuscule among them. What is happening to the larger population? Almost, if you take 85% or 90% of the students in this country aren't even able to come to that level. And that is where all these things of, representation, reservation, scholarships, all these things matter. I do not wish to go into the details of that, but then each and every stage there's a hurdle, right from getting a primary elementary education in English to the middle level school and getting a possibility or getting a chance to be educated in a science subjects. That itself is a huge thing, even for girl, definitely for girls and definitely for the backward classes students. Despite all the odds, despite all the hurdles, when they do reach the state, when they're able to, they have to give an entrance exam. The moment you have to give the entrance exam, even if you have cleared the, earlier it used to be 10 plus 2, and then there would be a entrance, there would be no entrance exam. So at least all the cumulated intelligence, the cumulated efforts of the entire family, they had a chance of getting reflected in an admission. But that's no longer true. And that is where these entrance exams have come. Nevertheless, whatever the case may be, especially if it is an entrance exam for MBBS, a graduation, then it doesn't really matter if whether the person who clears the entrance exam is a person who's equipped enough or intelligent enough or capable enough or eligible enough to be able to undertake a course. And despite that, there is a lot of filtering again happening over there, because there's a merit score in that entrance exam as well. So you can't, the premise of this today's discussion is the statement which has been given by the father of Mr. Nitin or Nitish, what his name is, which says this, yeah, Naveen, and which says
Naveen.
that, Naveen, and which says that he, despite the fact that he scored 98 or something percentage in 12th grade, he had to go to Ukraine. That is that the real problem? I mean, like if he got 98%, then we want to question his intelligence and his capability. In what way did he get that? Because if he's cleared the entrance exam, or has he not cleared the entrance exam? And if at all, if he's not cleared the entrance exam, then that's it. He Okay. So this is where they want to bring in the representation or reservation thing. Here, bringing here in the reservation thing is, what they want to say is that my child was intelligent, my child was this, but because there were certain seats which were allocated to a certain
category of people, that automatically reduce the number of available seats to my son. That is what they said. And this is not about only one person, one son or one daughter. It is the entire upper caste, upper class community, the Dvijas, the Savarnas of this country. They say the same tune, sing the same tune in the same raga. Okay, so we know that very well. Already Dr. Shanti has elucidated that the underrepresentation has been monumental. There have been, I can quote an example when I was getting an admission into the MD seat. I had got it into a merit category, that is without reservation. I had got into a merit category. So now that particular uh, post had, or a particular seat had to be kept open for another backward class category person to come and occupy it. There was a huge furore. There were cases that that particular seat should be occupied by Dr. Manisha only and should not be open for any other. But Dr. Manisha is able to come into, or XYZ person is able to come into upper
General
caste,
category, no
the
problem.
general category, then it should have been given. So at every given point in time, there used to be a committee. There always is a committee who overlooks all this within the system as well, within medical colleges as well. It is occupied by upper caste, upper class people. There's hardly one person from the backward class community in that committee, and that person is overruled totally. And he is the most vulnerable, or they will keep on changing. Most of the time the committee won't meet, and all the problems which occur then among them. That's how it goes. So and even in medical education, only in the government sector to a certain extent, if you take the OBC representation, Dr. Shanti has already told, it is underrepresented. Same with scheduled tribes category students, which are said that we don't have enough scheduled tribe category. They are not converted into scheduled caste. They are not converted into OBC, whereas that is the rule, that it should be in the reservation category, and then if they don't find, then only it goes into a open category. But that's not what is being followed diligently at all. And there have been many, and there are 101 people to cover it up. If last but not the least, if at all they cannot, then the entire thing goes into judiciary, and there the case goes in favor. Or if it is only applied for 1 year, and then next year the same problem again is repeated. I mean, it just goes on and on. So that is a state. And this so when these students come up, they should be available. What should be available to them is a government facility, government medical institutions. What they should be having a full fair play. And the total privatization policy which has been instituted by the government has made it so horrible in such a way that we have 476 medical colleges. Anvarul, I mean, kindly note this. Am I being audible? I don't want the
Yes, yes.
audience, yeah,
Yes,
to
yes.
miss this point. There are 476 colleges, and these are for the MBBS grade medical colleges, for the modern medicine as they call it. And there are about 300 or something odd colleges for the Unani medicine, Ayurveda, yoga, Ayush, all the alternative medicine or the indigenous medicine as they call it. And you would see that the number has essentially remained the same for almost 10 to 20 years. That is a very big thing. It has not enhanced. And these medical colleges have the most proportion in this. The number has remained stagnant as far as the government medical colleges are concerned. The number which has increased is the private medical colleges. And it is here where there is no capping, there is no uniformity, there's no regulation as far as the fee structure is concerned. They can charge anything. They have an NRI quota, they have a management quota, they have this quota, they have that quota, but they don't have reservation quota. They don't want to give it, they don't even have minority quota. All that they have. So what does this mean? So is that you need to have a crore and more. MBBS degree, it costs crore and more. And if it's an MD degree, then it costs more than 3 crores. And if it is a DM degree, you wouldn't imagine. There are certain colleges in Andhra Pradesh which are giving a DM degree. There are certain colleges in Tamil Nadu which are giving a doctorate degree in medicine with hardly any facility and hardly any departmental equipment and hardly any departmental faculty to be able to train them. So this is a state of affairs, sordid state of affairs as far as medical education is concerned. The only thing which has been again and again told. Now, see, listen, we have had, we as far as the treatment and state of art facility and modern medicine in terms of tertiary healthcare is concerned, we are we are having medical tourism. We have patients coming in from the Middle East and the even Pakistan and even Bangladesh and down south, everywhere. We have a good drainage from there. But what about the basic medical education in which the students should be educated? That is hardly there, and it's such a pathetic state. It's such a shameful state that our students are going into a country like Ukraine, which doesn't even have a good system, which doesn't have a good bureaucracy. It doesn't even it's so weird to call it even a nation state to such a situation. And how are they being allowed? Who has been monitoring their visas? That's a separate story altogether. But if you are asking me about the cost, this is what it is. And the proliferation, they have proliferated like mushrooms in every corner of the country, every state, or right from 2001 till today. In past 20 years, the number of medical colleges, and the same applies to paramedics, the same applies to nursing students. So they feed each other and they supplement each other. But then overall, the healthcare facility and the kind of healthcare that we give has definitely decreased to a certain extent, to a large extent. Now, let me finish this particular thing with one important information, and that is the doctor patient ratio. Of late, the government of India, the BJP Sarkar, has taken up a new kind of, has developed a new enchantment, yeah, a kind of a hobby of telling that we are equipped, we are okay, we are enough, and we have reached the WHO mark of doctor-patient ratio. And they have made it that the adequate ratio and the required ratio as per the WHO is 1:1,000 patients. So one doctor is to 1,000 patients is the ideal ratio as it is concerned. If you take the developed countries and even the not so the Western countries, many of the non-Western countries also, they have a doctor-patient ratio of 3 doctors for or 4 doctors for 1,000 patients. We are having 0.77. You can beat it. And if you see that example, that ratio in various states, it's even less. It's hardly a few states which have that ratio of 0.77. That comes to an average. That's it. But it's a pathetic state of affairs. Now the thing is, these in this ratio also, only about 60% are the MBBS modern medicine doctor, MBBS doctors. Majority there is a lot of infiltration and encroachment by the Ayush doctors, Siddha doctors, which do not have a cause and effect or a research model or a modern medicine model of education, neither a implementation of practice or giving of coming to a diagnosis of giving of treatment or a management protocol. So good clinical practice is something of which the Ayush is almost 100 years away, if not 100, at least 50 years away. So
Yeah.
you are clubbing both the doctors together and calling it that we have claiming that we have reached the doctor-patient ratio. That is a major fake, and absolutely spurious kind of a pseudo information which has come up. So this is the status, and the rest of the things we'll speak later. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I want
Thank
to
you,
tell
Doctor.
one point after. Yeah, you finish it.
Yeah, yeah. So there's one point Cynthia has mentioned that she would like to add a point, and then I'll get back to you, Dr. Shanti. Cynthia, yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. I was just making the point about, why a student with 98% marks can't get a seat within India. Of course, the cost is one of the factors, and also about the entrance exam. As we know, there was one girl called Anita who was very highly qualified in her secondary exam, but failed her NEET, and that has to do with the examination pattern and language and familiarity, as Dr. Manisha has already mentioned. Now, but the important point is that even here there is a huge number of students who take these exams, and even in the top percentiles, seats get filled with the top percentiles itself. That does not say anything about uh, the quality of the student who is studying, because even if a 98% student, or this boy had 97, but there would have been like much more students with 98% who get into the system because they just make it a numbers game. The fact of the matter is that the numbers should not be the reason why a student gets in, but it should be also about the competence, the temperament, and the history of that person, whether they are interested in being in the medical field or not. As I said, many students who study medicine drop out. Many of them complete the medical course but then move into another field. The reason is that they are ill adjusted to that field. It's a specialized field. So this thing I would like to about myself. I want to say I was apparently on the top of the list in a private medical college, a Christian medical college. But when the list came out, my name was not on the list. What was the reason? The reason is that I belonged to a family which could not have afforded the fees of those days, which were about 25,000 per annum. And my mother was a teacher and getting 1,200 or 1,500 rupees salary. So no way we could have afforded. So it was a poverty issue. So but I was at the top of the selection list. Why was I? Because though didn't get very high marks in my secondary, I got about 70%, but I did very well in the entrance and also their vivas, because I had the temperament, the interest, the capacity. But ultimately, it was money which played a role. So therefore, there are many hits and misses, as Dr. Manisha has said, between the selection process and the students who get left out. So we have to also, it's also an issue of choosing suitable candidates who will stay in the field. And if the government makes it compulsory for 4 years or 5 years or whatever service to be given to country, believe me, many people will, they won't, the demand for medical education will drop drastically, and only those who are really interested and committed to that field will stay.
Okay.
It's also a
Okay.
human resource management issue.
Okay. Thank you, Cynthia. Dr. Shanti,
Yeah,
you'd like to add
actually,
something? Yes.
I totally agree with Dr. Manisha's point about the background. How many students are allowed to get into the stream and coming for examination, writing NEET examination or any entrance examination. A notable observation in our K. Rajan committee report in Tamil Nadu before and after NEET, the number of candidates who have applied for NEET examination is drastically has come down in SC/ST because there is a fees in Tamil Nadu. We fees There is no fees for application in for SC/ST. So it is always it is free. So it is easy for them to apply first. Then only try go appear for the examination. That's different. So the application itself has come down. So we are telling the National Testing Agency to do away with the fees for the SC/ST. Then what for the country is there? For whom this country is there? Already when we start the whole process of National Testing Agency, to start with itself, the government has allocated 100 crore money for National Testing Agency. So at least they can give away the fees for SC/ST. At least after realizing the fact there is a drastic reduction in the number of applications before and after NEET, even after the repeated request that they are not ready to do it. And coming to the coaching center, they have to ideally, technically, they are supposed to give coaching in a district level. It is there in that National Testing Agency agenda, but nowhere it is being done. Everything is totally done by the private coaching center only. So the students like Anita are unable to go there. That's a problem. And one more point is Anita failed in NEET, but even after passing the NEET, the people students are getting disturbed. So yesterday there was a case in the Chennai High Court for 7.5% reservation of the government school students getting into medical medicine. So this is a wonderful scheme, but because of that, since 2 years, so many students have come into medical stream. But what happened yesterday? There is a case because of that. Naturally, the general category people are affected. Like that, the case is going. But what is an argument by the central government in that High Court? That is a matter. They are telling it because of this kind of reservation, the quality is getting affected and the NEET quality is getting diluted. See, even that 7.5% of government school students are getting into medical stream only after clearing NEET. So as per this central government statement, if you clear NEET, you are okay. Your quality is okay. Then after clearing the NEET, with an even less mark, you can go to private. With the same mark, if you go to government school, what is the problem? Government college from government school, what's the problem for the central government? Now they are telling it, no, no, we cannot accept this kind of 7.5% reservation. Any reservation based on the institution is not acceptable. That is a judge version. But what happened in the premier institute of India like AIMS, JIPMER, even now there is a reservation called institution reservation. Even last year also there is a reservation for institutional reservation for the people who studied in that particular college. Because of that, the only one point, it is not because of SC, ST or OBC. Just because they studied in JIPMER, they have been given a reservation. So that has been accepted. But yesterday, the Chennai High Court judge is telling, if you want to give reservation based on government school, something of that kind, then you have to change the constitution. Then without changing the constitution, reservation can be given to AIMS people. Without changing the constitution, you can give reservation to the JIPMER. How we are talking only about the 7.5% government school? After clearing the NEET, as per the basic requirement of the central government, you have to clear NEET to study medicine. So we have cleared. Rest all depends on the state government. Rest all depends on our ability to uphold our own students. So we have to take our students from the lower background. So this is how it goes. So if you want, they will say NEET is a criteria. If they don't want, they will say no, no, NEET, you are diluting the NEET. After clearing the NEET, where is the question of dilution? And in government setup, we are not reducing the cutoff of NEET percentile at all. Only in private institution to get the seats are getting wasted for not having the candidate. The central government is reducing the cutoff of the private institution, and never ever the cutoff is reduced for government institution. So there is no dilution of the merit as per the government central government argument. Then why they are opposing the 7.5% reservation of the government school students, which is being followed in Tamil Nadu, especially the students from the background category? Because 70 to 80% of the students studying in a government school are belonging to SC, ST and OBC only. That is our own statistics. So the totally, if the central government wants, they will say no, no, Anita has to clear NEET. Even after clearing the people NEET, the people like Anita are denied, are questioned how you can enter into the mainstream. That is a scenario, and it's very sad. But the whole problem is coming because of the privatization and this government policy of supporting the privatization. And we have to end this, and that's a point to be noted. Thank you.
Somebody has to mute. Okay.
Okay, so I would like to take final comments from each of you. Dr. Misha Banga, I would like to ask first to you that how do you critique this argument about reservation killing merit?
See, that's a absolutely useless and untenable argument. It's an artificial concocted argument in which reservation representation policy for exclusively for the SC ST OBC represented EWS is not facing the same fate. EWS is not getting the same kind of a backlash. EWS and Savarna Arakshan, which has come up, which is 10% over and about what the upper caste, the Dvijas, the Savarnas are getting, that is not under fire. The only problem to them is the representation and reservation which the SC, ST, OBC get. So it's a very selective thing, you know. Same with women reservation bill. The women, upper caste women are not against the reservation of women, which is excluding the OBCs and the SC, ST women in the parliament and legal structure, but they are against the reservation, educational reservation. So they want their own reservation. They want traditional reservation. They want religious Sanatan reservation going on for thousands of years, and they want reservation in the dharmic field, but they don't want reservation of the SC, ST, OBC or representation of SC, ST, OBC anywhere. So basically, reservation as such, that name itself, Arakshan, that name itself has become a punching bag for all the inadequacies and on all the mishaps of this government. If it comes to efficiency, governance, medical education, then they have you use the punching bag of reservation. If it is internal crisis and matters which relate to bureaucracy and then giving of justice and other matters, then it comes to being utilizing the bogey of Islam and Muslims and minorities become the punch bag. whether it is Christians or Muslims or Buddhist or whatever, they become the punching bag. If it is election and if it is something of which has a related to uh, representation in the political scenario or political game or political upheavals which happen, then the punching bag becomes international relations, and then punching Pakistan on it and punching Bangladesh on it and talking about other bogies. So that is how usually that is what is happening. So people are tired, and this because the statistics say something else, the reality is something else, and this particular media and the upper caste, upper class people have gone into the primitive age. They have got actually amnesia, they have got delusions, they are hallucinating. They are actually basically all most of that mental sickness of casteism is there. Why delusion and why hallucination? Because they are concocting things which are not existing. Why delusional? Because statistics and reality shows something else, and they keep on saying something else. What has already been said, that the number of students, medical students and reservation which is going to the SC/ST OB students is hardly, it's dismal, it's very bad. And especially with the private medical colleges coming up, it's really out of reach of the SC/ST OBC students, and many of the medical students are not getting the benefit of the representation policy, which is a constitutional policy. Despite that, these people, why they are tarnishing the very policy and tarnishing the entire community, and lampooning the entire community on the basis of merit. That is what is happening now. Let me tell you one thing. The number of um, doctor, suppose the number of medical students that come out, I'm not talking about the MD students, I'm just talking about the MBBS who are considered as doctors once they have a graduate degree. Now, the government has calculated the doctor patient ratio on the basis of how many people have entered the MBBS course, but they have not calculated on the number of doctors which have remained in the country and which have not fled the country and which have not gone to the US and other taken USMLE and other courses and gone to US and serving that country. They are not taken into account how many of the MBBS doctors have given the contract money, and relieved themselves of any contract, even for their internship or even for their house officership or some kind of a service in the villages and in the towns and in the public health centers. They are not taking into account all that. So if you take into account, the number is very less, and these are the very people. Now who are these people who are going into the, if the doctor patient ratio is adequate and you say the number of students are adequate, then why do you need more doctors? Why did you give the visa to these people who have gone to Ukraine? Who are these people? They want to be doctors.
Hey,
Fine.
you're on this live. Go away.
uh, you can mute yourself, Dr. Cynthia. Cynthia, you can mute yourself. So uh, who are these people? Who are the students who have gone to UK? They are the ones who want to come back, and they are not going to be. They have to give a clearance exam. If then most of them fail the clearance exam, that is what Mr. Joshi from the Ministry of Health and Welfare
Joshi,
said. Yeah, he has said that. He's already said that, and that is all. There was a huge furore and uproar against his statement. Whatever it may be, they are the ones who will give a clearance exam, and whether they are going to be coming into the PHC, what is the assurance, what is the guarantee, what is the understanding and the contract with these students that they will come and serve the country? There is nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And these are the students who are in the middle grade. They are the students who are not able to give 1 crore rupee, but have enough money, say from 25 to 50 lakhs of
30 crore, 30
rupees.
lakhs.
Yeah, rupees, who can give that money and come back. Fine. But then the SAC students, OBC students, they do not have 25 lakhs, or they do not have 25,000 rupees also. So these Ukraine people who are going, and necessarily most of them, 99% of them, are not from the SC/ST OBC category anyways. Then what are these people going to come and do? What are they going to come and do? These are the ones
Right.
who are these are the ones who are going to be coming and starting of their nursing homes, or going to be taking up their family businesses of nursing homes and corporate hospitals and other things. So they want to become doctors not because they want to become or serve humanity or to serve the country, but they have not got a admission in the medical colleges out of their own merit, and they don't have so much of enough money to feed the greed of the corporate hospitals over here or corporate medical colleges over here. So then what do? They want to go and take the degree, and instead of questioning the very system, instead of questioning the root issue, the root matter of the cause, they are punching the bag, using the punching bag of reservation policy, and by that they are degrading the entire SC/ST OBC community, whereas neither the governments which have belonged and have had a say from the SC/ST OBC community's perspective, neither have they been responsible for this privatization of health sector and medical education, and neither have they been able to make advantage of the privatization which has fallen into their lot by perforce, and they have been at utmost disadvantage. And despite
Dr.
us,
Bhagdan,
yeah,
yeah,
despite us
yeah,
being
we are, yes, we are
advantage,
exceeding a
they,
lot of, yeah, yeah, we are exceeding like long,
okay,
and like we have talked about this point in like different manners, and I just would like to stop you at this moment,
okay,
and I'll just go to like other panelists and take a brief comment on like we have you have like uh, told in a detailed manner that how this entire corrupt system has made like really impossible for the Bahujan students to get access to the education, to the especially studying medical, and even who are the people who are actually going the outside. Thank you so much for your points. Dr. Shanti, I would like to understand from you that if you can just briefly comment on this critique that how this argument of reservation killing merit. Please try to keep it brief.
Yeah, so we know very well only the people who have cleared NEET only now they are coming. So after that, if you go to a private, there as the madam mentioned, Manisha madam, there is no reservation. So if you come to only government college, there is reservation. So naturally, people with a good mark without reducing the cutoff after clearing the NEET only, they are taking seats in the government medical colleges. So there is no dilution of merit. This is a wrong argument, and this is a deviation tactics to deviate the people of this country from the government privatization policy and the government's inefficiency in fixing the fees in the deemed universities and private universities. Now also they have told from next year only they are going to have this fees fixation, and even then it will be challenged in the court and it will not be implemented for a decade or so. Now the government has changed the policy of starting the medical colleges. Those even for profit you can start medical college. That is an changes made in the things, so that the government is openly telling that the private institution can start medical college for the sake of profit. The word profit was not there previously, so it was there implemented for the past 5 6 years. So naturally, it is the government policy of privatization is the problem, and it's not the problem of reservation. There is no dilution in the merit because of the reservation.
Thank you, Dr. Shanti. Cynthia, I would like to understand from you that how do you critique this argument of reservation killing merit?
It is something really strange, straightforward. See, the Constitution of India, the term reservation is itself a misnomer. It is a kind of social justice. So this is a representation. It is social justice and representation. The reservation is only a sort of a term which has been utilized. So by providing this kind of a facility in a constitutional manner, the government is trying to correct historical wrongs suffered by large sections of the deprived of the population of being deprived of representation in professional education and access. So this has to be clearly understood. It's a matter of justice at the level of the constitution. Nobody can derail this with a short-sighted approach. That has to be fully understood. And all these arguments about reservation is unconstitutional. I want to be very clear. This is unconstitutional. It is decided. Why are there no problems when it comes to reservation in seats for assembly or parliament. Nobody's asking reduce the reservation in the seats in parliament. No, why? These two, like medical education, professional and university higher education, they take bring a whole new bunch of people into public life, a new batch of people who's historically deprived coming into public life. This is the last bastion of the conservative right wing brahminical patriarchal state or social apparatus in operation. It is totally to be condemned. And therefore I just want to say that this is a like a last stand of these conservative forces, because representation in a democratic process cannot be stopped or changed, and that has to be clearly understood.
Thank you, Cynthia, Dr. Shanti, and Dr. Manisha Banga for making this panel about giving answers to all those propaganda and to I don't like to use these words backward. I don't usually use backwards on such panel discussions, but the kind of arguments people are the kind of tweets they are making and the kind of status they are putting on Facebook and other platforms is really disturbing, and the kind of arguments they are making is lame, using such a unfortunate incident and to make it about reservation. It's really unfortunate, and it's really something a sane person would never do. So these people always have agenda, always have Bahujans on their target, and they have always issues with justice. If any sort of justice, or if any sort of fair sort of arrangements if are given to the Bahujans. So this whole incident, this whole panel discussion was aimed to answer some of the questions. And we know that the questions like reservation killing merit it itself is a very I mean it's not even a question itself, but we had to raise this in our panel discussion to answer those lame arguments. And we hope that we would make we could make a point about all these arguments. And I would really thank you, Dr. Shanti, Dr. Manisha Bangar, and Cynthia, for making these panel discussions and giving an insightful approach or perspective to our audience. We are closing this live discussion for now. We'll
Thank you.
continue our discussions on
Thank you.
Bhujan rights, Bhujan issues, and everything which
Thank you.
matters to Bhujans. So thank you so much. We're
Yeah, thank
Thank
closing.
you.
you
Thank
to
you
my
very much.
co-panelists, and thank you, Anvarun, to the host,
Thank
Anvarun.
Thank you.